So the world woke up to the news the other day that an Iranian scientist, who was the mastermind of Iran's deadly military nuclear program, was killed in a successful assassination attempt. This is huge news that puts tremendous pressure on Iran's nuclear program that is such a danger to the whole world. As President Trump retweeted from an Israeli Twitter account, quote, "This is a huge professional and psychological blow to Iran." Who did it? We don't know. And it doesn't make a difference. We don't care. This scientist was singled out by Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu as being a mastermind of the Iranian nuclear program, as Netanyahu himself said in the press conference last year when he revealed the massive amount of secret Iranian nuclear files we smuggled out of Iran.
A key part of the plan was to form new organizations to continue the work. This is how Dr. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, head of Project Ahmad, put it. Remember that name, Fakhrizadeh. Remember that name, Fakhrizadeh.
Remember that name. Now we remember it. The reaction by some of the people around the world highlights the horrendous liberal policy of appeasement that still reigns supreme in so many corners of the world and is so dangerous to the freedom-loving world. Let's start with the European Union's condemnation of the assassination. They are not vocal against Iran for continuing its genocidal illegal nuclear buildup. No! Not vocal against their terror. No! They are vocal about their nuclear scientist being assassinated. In their public comment, quote, "The High Representative of the EU expresses his condolences to the family members of the individuals who were killed, while wishing a prompt recovery to any other individuals who may have been injured." What? In these uncertain times, it is more important than ever for all parties to remain calm and exercise maximum restraint in order to avoid escalation, which cannot be in anyone's interest. Any word about Iran's deadly nuclear program? Sorry, EU, you should be praising the assassination of this killer mastermind, because that is exactly what he was. You shouldn't be vocal at him being killed. You should be vocal against the Iranian nuclear program. Now let's go to Obama's CIA chief, John Brennan. Ready for this one? Ex-CIA chief John Brennan said the following in response to the assassination, and I quote, "This was a criminal act and highly reckless. It risks lethal retaliation and a new round of regional conflict. Iranian leaders would be wise to wait for the return of responsible American leadership on the global stage and to resist the urge to respond against perceived culprits. Such an act of state-sponsored terrorism would be a flagrant violation of international law and encourage more governments to carry out lethal attacks against foreign officials." This Obama administration CIA chief is publicly supporting total appeasement to the worst terror-supporting state in the world and begging for Iran not to do anything by calling the assassins the terrorists. But he wants them to wait for a potential Biden administration, which would basically just appease the Iranian regime. Senator Ted Cruz criticized Brennan for his response to the assassination, tweeting that, quote, "It was bizarre to see a former head of the CIA consistently side with the Iranian zealots who chant 'Death to America' and reflexively condemn Israel." Then Cruz ends his tweet with a rhetorical question: does Biden agree? This is the dangerous foreign policy that a Biden administration partnered with the European Union would bring to the world, returning to the Obama policy of appeasement. I want to end with this powerful statement from former President Ronald Reagan, which he said back in 1964, warning about the dangers of the liberal policy of appeasement, which still rings true today, perhaps more than ever.
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second: surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement, and this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement, and it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then?
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.